Hello again, this is Dan Sandler. Um, we are on part 6 of a 10-part series to install Hadoop, configure it to stream Twitter data to our Hadoop file system to do some basic queries against it. Um, so just to recap, we've set up our Amazon Cloud EC2 Linux environment, this box here. We've we have done the base install of Hadoop. We have created a Twitter app, registered it with Twitter, I should say, and we have a Flume agent configured and ready to go. Now I'm going to flip over to the right side of the equation. We are going to set up Hive, and I'm just going to get right to it. I have to say, this is always the step that makes me the most nervous. I don't know why. I guess it is a database, so you kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing. So, first things first, we are going to go to lib, user lib, we are going to get a jar file, include error, GitHub. So this is the Hive serialize, which I do know means serialize, deserialize. So as the JSON objects come in, and this is an external table, and it basically relies on some data types and some serialization, deserialization of the JSON objects in order for a Hive to query. So we need this jar. Okay. Let's see, make sure we've got it. There we go. Alrighty. Looks good. Now we are going to create the Hive directory using the Hadoop file system commands. So sudo, because we're as root, we're going to sudo as hcfs, Hadoop file system, make dir, which for those who should be familiar with Linux and Unix commands is pretty standard. So you can't, by the way, you can't do every single, cannot do every single command. I don't know what the limitations are, but if you're looking to do something elaborate, I'm pretty sure there's not a Hadoop file system awk, for example, or a sed. There's a cat, there's an ls. As you can see here, there's a change owner, which we're about to do. Okay. Chown, cursive, Hive is the user group on anything under user Hive. Alrighty, so now we're here. Going to make everything read, write, execute underneath user Hive. This is a sandbox, so I'm not going to mess around with permissions. Of course, if this were a production environment, it would be a little bit more restrictive. And one last time on the warehouse. Now we are going to sudo user mod to the Hive group. We're going to add the file system in Uzi. Now we're going to install the MySQL JDBC driver. So I'm going to go to user, Hive. Alright. Go to curl-l. Just copy this as it is. It's going to get the driver and extract it. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to copy that. It should already be there. Fortunately, I already extracted it here, so if I do this over. Okay, so we copied that. Now we are going to set up Hive in MySQL. So to do this, we're going to say MySQL -u root -p. Oops. I'm missing MySQL. Let me press pause and get those steps. Sorry about that. Going to install MySQL. It's very simple. 3 commands. Okay, and do yum install on MySQL and the following: MySQL server, libs, and server. Okay. It's going to go out, grab all of these. Say yes. And I can see why app developers love MySQL. It's very easy to download, to install, get this thing up and running. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do is start that service. Service MySQL D start. Alrighty. Now, one last thing, we're going to do a check config level 235 MySQL D on. Okay. This will start the service if the machine is rebooted. Okay, we want that to start automatically. Now I can do my SQL root. Okay. So I didn't enter a password, by the way. We're going to create database meta store. Okay. That worked. Use meta store. Get this changed to run this Hive schema script. Everything's okay. Create user identified by my password. Everything's good. So we need to, we're gonna exit, I'm gonna go back in, and I'm gonna say this. Right. Flush privileges. And quit. Okay. So here's what we need to do. We're going to edit the Hive XML, which is in, we go to Etsy, Hive, config, Hive, site, XML. Okay, there's a couple things we need to do to the Hive site SQL, or Hive site XML. Okay. So I'm going to go back to, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Hadoop tutorial, because I think they put in plain English what needs to be done. So I'm going to pause it one more time, make sure I got it right. Sorry about that, I'm back again. I had to get my bearings. You can see here that by default, I think I mentioned this in the last tutorial, Hive is looking at a Derby embedded database. We're going to change that. So we can do that a couple of ways. We can edit this XML file, which is the Hive XML, Hive site XML. You edit that directly. I'm going to show you a different path to do that. Okay. I'm going to go to the Cloud Manager. I'm going to add a service. I'm going to say, I don't see our friend here, Hive. So I'm going to press pause again. Back again. Hive always trips me up, I apologize. So we actually have to edit the Hive site XML directly. It's real easy. So we're going to take configuration properties here. This all in Cloudera documentation. And the connection over here, this URL, the connection string is obviously different. It's going to say localhost. The driver is obviously different. And then all these are new. I didn't back this up, by the way. Pretty sure this is going to work. I have a good file anyway, so if I were you, well, maybe I'd back it up. Ooh, too clean. Let's try this again. I'll just take this. Sorry. Pause it again. I apologize for that. For some reason the text, as it was copied from Cloudera manual, which is online, wasn't really coming out too cleanly. So basically, it wouldn't paste. So I just took a file, Hive site file that I had backed up from my old machine, and I used that. So here are the properties. Okay. Local meta store, that's the connection URL. Here's a driver. Username is Hive. My password is password. False. True. Okay. So I'm going to actually remove this property. This is going to come in later, but it's not quite ready. We're not quite ready for that yet. So these are auxiliary jars that are used by Hive. So it needs this serial deserializer snapshot jar, because that's how it allows it to read Jive. So I'm going to save this. So this is our Hive site config file. Okay. I'm going to test connectivity. First thing, sudo -u hdfs. Again, we've just installed MySQL. We have Hive site XML configured to point to MySQL for the metastore. So Hive. We'll connect in. So Hive is basically, as we saw in the first part of our series, is like SQL+. Alright, so show tables. That error is the lock manager. That's nothing to worry about. It's a soft error. Okay, so this indicates that we have a clean installation of Hive. So what we're going to do now is create our tweets table. So this is basically an external table. You can see right here the definition. This is provided in the Cloudera tutorial. They provide the DDL for tweets, and it's going to live. Basically, it's going to point to everything that lives under user flume tweets. And going back to the flume.config, flume.config. So I guess you guys see my tokens. I'm going to delete this agent anyway, so you're not going to have a chance to use it by the time this is published. Right here, points to user flume tweets, year, month, day. So this is partitioned on date, hour, which is essentially allows partition pruning on the file system essentially, because it's also year, month, day, and hour. I'm going to go back into Hive. So there's got to be a better way to get this up here. One sec. Let me pause it again. Hello, I'm back. I've just edited a file called temp tweets DDL. So that contains the DDL that you see here. I'm going to run hive-f using temp tweets. Yeah, this should run a file. Run this as a script essentially. Alright, so let's go back in. Again, the reason why I love Hive is because you can do things like describe a table, just like you would if you were SQL plussed into Oracle. Describe tweets. There's one thing I need to do. I'm not quite ready for this particular configuration yet. This here. So I'll just comment it out for now. Let's try that again. So this will be the last step. Oops, not show tweets, describe tweets. This is the last step in this part of the series. After this, it's all downhill. Okay, where you can, so we've got Hive set up, ready to go. You can see we have an external table. We'll point to location on our Hadoop file system, and we're ready to get Uzi configured. That's the next step. Once we get that running, we'll be able to stream some tweets. So, till then, this is Dan Sandler. Definitely catch up with me on Twitter. That's at DataDanSandler. At DataDanSandler. You can follow me on Twitter, or follow my blog, www.datadansandler.com. Take care.